Stargate is probably my favourite TV show of all time. I started watching Stargate back in around about 2004, 2005. Can't actually remember exactly when I first started watching it, but it was Stargate SG-1 that got me into the franchise. And then of course Stargate Atlantis came out, and Stargate Universe with all the movies and everything that came along with it, and I fell in love. I absolutely love Stargate. It's probably one of the TV shows that I can talk about continuously all the time. And now that Amazon have bought MGM, the deal has finally gone through and there's a potential for a new series to come about. I want to talk about certain characters that I would love to see return. So, a lot of you will probably already know, if you follow me on the internet, that I did a live stream with Jay from Sidetrack. I run the Sidetrack Discord server and I'm friends with Jay. So he invited me onto his server, onto his channel, so we could talk about things that we'd like to see on a new Stargate series. I have a load of notes written up from when I did that stream with him, and I want to share with you my thoughts and the characters that I would love to see return if Stargate did come back. Let's get into it. So the way that we structured it in the actual live show is that we basically just said, who do you want from the main cast, who do you want from Atlantis, and who would you like from Universe. So if I'm talking about anyone from SG-1, then the people that I would love to see return would be, of course, Daniel Jackson, because Daniel Jackson is the life soul of Stargate. Without Daniel Jackson, Stargate wouldn't exist. Of course, I would also love to see Samantha Carter, preferably in a general role. I want to see her helming the SGC or whatever variant of Stargate Command exists at this point in time. I'd love to see her married to Jack O'Neill. In my mind, Jack is now a retired general. He no longer is in the military, so he's not bound by strict regulations where he can, date and or marry anyone who is under his command. So now that he's retired, he can finally get together with Sam Carter. They're married, they're living happily ever after. She is now managing the SGC, or as I say, whatever version of Stargate Command now exists. But the one character that I definitely want to see come back is Teal'c. He's my favourite character from Stargate SG-1. From the very first episode, Children of the Gods, Teal'c became an instant favourite for me. His iconic line, "Indeed," is something that I have taken into my own vocabulary, and I say it all the time. I would never have said this if it wasn't for his character. So every time I say "indeed," I am channeling Teal'c through my very soul, through my very being. He's just amazing. And Chris Judge is awesome as well. I absolutely love Chris Judge as a person, but I would love to see Teal'c make a return. Obviously, I know in terms of canon, he's a lot older now than he was throughout the entire series, because he spent all those years on board the Daedalus, and then went back in time to save SG-1 on the very last episode. So if he didn't return, I would understand why, because he's an old man now, even by Jafar standards, so he could potentially have died. But even just some references to Teal'c, so the Free Jafar Nation, he literally helped build that, and I would like to see a Free Jafar Nation with him as their savior, like a big statue of him or something like that. That would be awesome. I mean, ideally I'd like him to return. If he didn't return, I'd understand, but obviously I want him to return because he helped free the Jafar. He was the driving force of a lot of the story in Stargate SG-1 all the way up until the defeat of the Goa'uld. I'd also love to see a return from Braytak, but much like Teal'c, he is an old man, even by Jafar standards, so he could have potentially died during the last 10-15 years. But also likewise with Teal'c, he is one of the pinnacle people who helped form the Free Jafar Nation. Failing that, failing Chris Judge, failing Braytak, I'd love to see Ryak. Ryak was a really interesting character for me. He was very much like Teal'c, just a very young version. Obviously, he is his son. But I'd love to see Ryak in a more active role. Whether that's being involved in the new SG team, you know, taking the place of what Teal'c was, or being a leader of the Free Jafar Nation. That would be awesome. I'd love to see Ryak, whether it's the same actor or whether they bring in someone new. Just the character of Ryak I'd love to see come back. I've also written in here that I'd love to see the young O'Neill clone as well. Now, I did put that in here, but thinking about it, I don't want to see an O'Neill clone. What I'd like ideally to happen is if the clone did make an appearance, that he'd have his own personality and he's slightly different than the O'Neill that we know, because their lives did separate and he has been living in present day rather than growing up in the same way that O'Neill did. So he didn't join the military, he didn't have all the experience in war that our O'Neill did, so he's going to be a little bit different. His personality will be different, but he will somehow be O'Neill at the very heart of it. And I think that's a really good way of bringing back General O'Neill without actually having the actor. Obviously I want General O'Neill to come back for a cameo, but I mean as a more active role, because he's an old man now. So bringing back a young character who could be O'Neill, who technically is O'Neill, but isn't, that's a good workaround for me, at least in my head. If we're talking about characters from Stargate Atlantis, then Shepard and McKay are a must-have for me. We did speak about Ronan coming back in the live stream that we did, but that is literally a fantasy pick. We don't think that's ever going to happen, and if it does, it's only going to be a small cameo role. It's not going to be a full-fledged reprisal of his character for any meaningful amount of time. I'd love to see Taylor, because I want to see what her and the Ethosian people are getting up to now. Did she go back to the Pegasus Galaxy? Did she rejoin her people? So many questions that I want answered. And of course, if we're talking about the cast of Stargate universe, then I need to know what happened to Eli. Eli Wallace, I need to know what happened to him. I want to see Nicholas Rush again, and I want to see Everett Young. So the conclusion that I came to was my ideal fantasy cast would be at least 2 people from each season. That would be from SG-1, Teal'c and Daniel, Atlantis, McKay and Shepard, and SGU would have been Eli and Rush. If we can put all of those together in more reoccurring roles, along with some fresh faces, that would be my ideal fantasy pairing of anyone who was in Stargate to begin with. If they were in it, it would be perfect for me. But they're the characters that I want to see. Let me know in the comment section what you want to see, and let's have a chat down below. You can also join us on the Sidetrack Discord server. The server is dedicated to science fiction fans, so if you don't like Stargate but you like Doctor Who, or you like Star Wars or Star Trek, you are going to find something for you, because it's dedicated to science fiction as a whole. As I said at the beginning of this video, I am running the Sidetrack Discord server on behalf of Jay from Sidetrack. We currently have 50 members over there, and it's growing rapidly. There are a lot of discussions going on over there, and it's really great to see. So I'd love you to come over and join us. Link for that will be in the description down below. But that's all for now. Stay safe, stay curious, and I'll see you later.